There we go. We're recording. We It's so great to see you, Isabel. Isabel Wettergren?
Isabel Wettergren, yes. Robert MANOLSON.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very great to meet with you today.
Two former Montrealers.
Yes.
who left the big city of Montreal for happier and greener pastures.
That's right. And mine is a little bit sunnier too.
You said you followed the good weather.
Yes, follow the good weather in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. We have some really awesome weather and can't complain. And I love the diversity also, you know, just I found home here.
Are you closer to Los Angeles or are you closer to San Francisco?
I'm a 15-minute drive from San Francisco, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
If anybody is out there watching this video right now, we want to thank you. Isabel and I want to thank you for giving some of your most valuable time to a wonderful conversation that we are recording between Isabel and myself. I met Isabel online many, many months ago. And we both feel like we've known each other for years, but this is actually the first time that we're meeting. And she rocks. Isabel totally rocks. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. And I'll give you a heads up as to why we're here today. And my goal is to keep the conversation within 15 or 20 minutes, because if I go beyond 15 or 20 minutes, I know that if you're watching this video, you're probably going to turn it off and go do something related to your work and commitment. So we'll try to keep it, I promise to keep it to 15 to 20 minutes. What I love about you, Isabel, is your passion for health and wellness. You apparently, you have many letters after your name. Many letters after your name, one of which I guess references your master's degree in health and wellness psychology and organizational leadership. Are you working in the field of health and wellness right now? Please tell me that you were able to transition all your education into the field of health and wellness, and you're living the dream. You're living the dream. Are you working in the field of health and wellness right now?
I'm living the dream. Yes, I am. And as a matter of fact, any kind of education, any level of education is really something that you can always fall back on. So I've learned so much throughout my master's in health and wellness psychology. I learned a lot from my own personal experience in recovery from addiction also. So I have the diploma, like the background, and I got the street creds. And it is really a passion for me, not only because I know like the logistics and how to put together a health and wellness plan for an organization, but I also know what it feels like to be someone who's, you know, suffering in the workplace and not having the systems in place to support me. So that's what really I'm aiming to do, is to be in the workplace and help leaders really mobilize their workforce really in you know, like in a partnership, if you will,
yes,
to develop some policies, systems, and procedures that you really will support their employees.
Okay, so we're going to get back to that in a couple of minutes. So we'll talk about this partnership between health and wellness professionals like yourself and organizations to work more collaboratively and responsibly with each other. For the health and well-being of the organization, which is really the people, right? So when we say the organization, we're really talking about the health and well-being of the people within the organization, which I know you're very passionate about. But before we get started, because I know we're going to be covering off many terms many terms over the next 15 or 20 minutes. I just want to get clear on what these terms are. So here's a term that we might use in our conversation. What does that mean? What does that mean? If we say mental health, let's share with our audience a perspective on that you and I can agree upon. What do we mean by mental health?
All right, so you would ask 100 people, what's your definition of mental health? You would get 100 different answers, regardless if they have any experience or any knowledge about it. Yes or no?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, so we're okay talking about physical health, where you go get a checkup, you go get your teeth cleaned, you go to the optometrist, right? So we're okay talking about this, but what goes on in our head, our ideas, our belief systems, how we feel in our guts, right? I mean, that is all part of mental health, right?
Wow, wow. Physical health and mental health. How about this term? Maybe this is a term you're familiar with.
Mental wellness, yes.
Is that similar, different than mental health?
Yes. So health, to me, health is measurable, right? You can get a checkup, like for physical health, you can get a checkup, you can get some numbers, right? But when it comes to wellness, oh my gosh, there's a spectrum of wellness. So someone can have a mental illness, like a diagnosed mental illness, but they can be very mentally well though, right? By having a practice of gratitude, a practice of mindfulness, and all that good stuff. Yes. What about it?
You just mentioned the term mental illness.
Yeah, how many of those cards do you got there?
Two more.
Two more, okay. Mental illness, what about it?
Well, how is it similar or different than mental wellness or mental health?
Well, it's the I and the we, right? So that's kind of illness. When you're by yourself, it's an illness, and when you get together, it's wellness. So really, it's having a support system. It really helps us. Mental illness is super common, 1 in 5, and with a result of the pandemic, maybe even 2 in 5, right? And those are the ones that are diagnosed or that are talked about. But mental illness is not necessarily something that that keeps us from reaching our dreams. So I, for one, have substance use disorder. However, I've been able, through like my mental wellness, to develop some coping skills that allow me to no longer be active in my addiction. So right?
You could manage and live with,
yes,
in a positive way, your addiction, which strongly suggests you're on a good path towards mental wellness and good mental health.
Correct.
Why?
I'm not saying that I don't have those self-defeating thoughts, those limiting beliefs, but I'm aware of them because I do practice. I came to an understanding that, what's his next sign? It's my responsibility really to practice, to do all this. So,
well, let's shift gears a little bit. Have you heard this term before?
Yes.
And so what is this?
You're taking me by surprise here. We hadn't rehearsed all this, and that's totally cool. I love it. I love the improvisation, right? The mental fitness, right? If I'm mentally fit, if something comes to me, yes, I see your sign. Mental fitness, if something comes to me that is very disruptive, that puts me in a not so happy place or anything, if I have practiced the muscles, right? If I have So that's where I think about it as mental fitness. If I have practiced writing a gratitude list, if I have practiced asking for help, you know, when I feel like I need it, then I'm more likely, I'm going to be more resilient. Is that your next sign, resilience?
Well, you know, you are pretty much on the mark, but it's a term. It's a term that I created myself, and I'm quite proud of, and we call it mental health optimism.
Yes.
What's that in relation to resilience?
All right. Well, guess what? So mental health optimism, I love your new term. I hope you're going to trademark it because that's fantastic. And some of the letters after my name, yeah, I do have a master's in health and wellness psychology, but I'm also a professional recovery coach, and I'm also a national board certified health and wellness coach. And that's exactly what we're doing, right? Our clients, they come to us with probably like an issue or something like that, and we're trying to project them in the future. What would it look like if you were to not have that problem? What will it take? What are your triggers? What are the resources that you need? Who's your support system? So as a health and wellness coach, those are the kind of things that we do. And in terms like the mental illness, you know, isolation. When you think about mental illness, the I is isolation, right? People will recover once they learn how to say, hey, guess what? I need help.
Yes.
And yeah. So.
Well, you know what? You passed the test. it was
Do the floss, right? Like the kids do.
Hold on. I'll grab one of my boom whackers.
I get a trophy or something. I get the stick.
Now you are passionate about a lot of things. You're passionate about a lot of things. And in order to give a little bit of context to those who are joining us today about one of your many passions, which is, you know, telling organizations in effect to step up and take a responsibility, hold a responsibility in your hands for the health and wellness of the people in your organization. I know that's one of the many things that you're passionate about. What are you doing right now in your work that supports the idea that health and wellness professionals really need to collaborate with organizations, or organizations really need to collaborate with health and wellness professionals to better serve employees? What are you doing right now that is like that allows you to live your passion?
That's a super long question. I hope I'm going to answer it to your liking. But really, what we're seeing, you're in Canada, I'm in the US, but I'm talking to my families back home, we're seeing a shortage of employees. Like, people don't want to work. This pandemic has created some conditions that are unprecedented. And I know I shouldn't be using that word because it's been overused, but really, I cannot think of a better word for that. And what people have done is that they really kind of reassess their values. A lot of clients that I work with when I'm a coach, you know, that's what they talk about. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. Or I want, you know, my family really matters to me. My health really matters to me. So those are the kind of thing that happens. And in terms of relationship with work, people no longer want to grind. They don't want to grind anymore, right? They just don't. It's like, I don't want to go to work and just feel like, ah. So right now, the employers, they have no choice but really to look at a way to serve their employees. So I specifically serve the industry of education, K through 12. However, I don't discriminate. If there's an organization out there that would like to sit with me just for a casual talk or something about the importance of workplace wellness, I'd be more than happy to. But my expertise, because I have 20 years teaching, right? 20 years of experience teaching. So I know that the system can be improved. And that would happen with the partnership. So school districts
Yes.
are often, they're unionized, right? So drawing all the leaders and the strengths and the resources from the union and the management, the leadership, and really having like a symbiosis, like creating this
A vision together.
this vision together, so that if you know, so here's what happens a lot of the time is that they recognize that, okay, yeah, no, there's a need for employee wellness. So what they do, they dish it out to HR. Most of the time, HR people don't necessarily have a background in health and wellness, or they go to employee benefits. Hey, you go write the newsletter, you go create activities, or even worse, they put it on the plate of principals, school principals. Do some wellness.
And what does
Some
that
training.
And what might that look like if they're not, if the system is not recognizing the true value of wellness in our day-to-day lives, in work and outside of work, and passing it off to professionals outside of your industry? What might that look like in an organization or a school that you've worked at? What does wellness look like? Is it, hey, there's events, you know, we're all getting together to play volleyball, or let's all go out for dinner together, and that's called the wellness. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, what I'm suggesting is to really look at the organization itself, right? Because most organizations already have what it takes. They already have their communication channels. They already have, you know, the funding, the expert that does the social media. They already have what it takes. It's just that we need to get together and see a way to coordinate all that.
Okay.
Right? And you got to make sure that you know, because sometimes you can get into trouble, because if you're offering, you know, just activities, you got to make sure that you're inclusive in the activities that you give out. So if you're offering, you know, let's say an open gym from 8 to 9 in the morning, well, all your teachers are in the classroom, they won't have access to it, right? So just having this inclusivity, diversity in mind. So that's really, really important. But here's the thing though, Robert, is that when school district or organization, they choose not, you know, wellness is just like, we're just not going to go there. We're not going to address it. Think about the impact that it has on a school district when a teacher has a DUI, or a teacher is arrested for pornography, or, I mean, those kind of things, right? And I'm sure that you talk to anybody, everybody has a story of, you know, oh, Mr. So-and-so was drunk. Yeah, he was our drunk teacher. Like, he smelled like booze. So we have those stories, and those people are, you know, we need to make sure that they have the services and support that they need to do their jobs, because in the end, if it's not being addressed, there will be a price tag.
Okay.
And the kids are going to suffer.
Now, you said we need to have a plan. We, as in the school principal, the school district, you know, the teachers. Do you actually work in a school as a healthcare professional? Do you do that?
So my best time ever at work, when I was waking up in the morning and I would just love work, I couldn't get enough. I was the lead wellness coordinator.
Okay.
And what we worked on is to make sure that every voice was being heard, right? So that the maintenance people that mow the grass, we would improve the communication so that they don't mow the grass when the physical education teacher is out there teaching Frisbee. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's wellness, because think about what that might create.
Yes.
So if we improve those are very simple, no cost.
Yes.
no cost. And every district can make their own reflection, right, on how can they improve their systems.
So interesting, because some of the examples you shared with us so far, and if you're watching this conversation, you might be like myself, you wouldn't think of it as wellness, you know, and Isabel, you're talking about coordinating a system of work, making work function not in a dysfunctional way, but in a way where the general wellness and well-being of everybody in their work, conducting their work, is at a happy level, is at a positive level. So your examples were interesting, because I might not have thought of it about wellness, like just coordinating people's work schedules from maintenance to teachers. You said you loved going to work in that role. Give me a story. Tell me a story. Once upon a time, there was a problem, a situation around wellness, and you did something really cool to help change the culture, to help change the situation. Can you share with me a story?
Well, I think one of my my biggest victory was when I was able to convince our deputy superintendent, and I just loved working for her. So top leadership is really crucial. If you don't have top leadership, you know, it's almost like a battle lost. So she was Dr. Muschetti. I'm going to name her because she was really exceptional. So I did that role, the lead wellness coordinator, for 2 years. And the first year I'm like, we have to have a health and wellness fair. And she gave me the green light. And I was so happy. Like, I was just ecstatic. And again, those events bring people together, right? They connect us with the community health partners. Yes. So we had mindful schools. We had like our parks, like our regional parks, people from there. We had dentists. We had like our benefits people that came. We had about 20 different vendors that came, you know, no cost, no cost. But what did that create? Engagement, right? Because right now, the critical need in the workplace, and not just in school environment, is the need for people to connect.
And it created conversation, you know, not only engagement, you know, and connection, right? But it created conversation about the value of our wellness in work, because we might not think of that on a daily basis. We may think of wellness as something we do outside of work and after work, but you were pushing the idea, no, wellness 24/7 in work and outside of work. So what came out of that event?
Oh, well, I mean, the feedback, right? Because when you do things like that, you have to make sure that you measure, right? And that's something that perhaps someone that's not trained into workplace wellness, you don't do it. But you got to measure. How impactful was that? What did you like? What would you like to see more? We had people that came with a massage, right? So the line was so long. And then guess what? We were able to create a partnership later on where the teachers would get like a 20% discount, right? So those are the kind of things that it's great for the local businesses, but it provides a support also for your employees. So like those, like a teacher day where, you know, the community comes together, you know, what do they typically do? You got donuts in the office in the morning, and then you got, you know, it's all around like unhealthy food. But there's other ways to make sure that it's creative and not just junk food related.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, you rock, Isabel, you rock. Let everybody know you're working right now, and you work full-time or part-time?
So I am still a teacher. I'm a part-time teacher, but really I'm launching my business. So it's teacherswellness.org, teacherswellness.org.
And what is
I have my sign like you. I should have come more prepared. Teacherswellness.org. Maybe I'll make one of those.
Yes, and keep it with you wherever you go, wherever you go. And what
Yeah.
is the name of your business called Teachers Wellness?
So the name of my business is called Teachers Wellness Coaching and Consulting.
Okay.
Okay. So really, what I do is that I offer professional development. I come in and I bring the people together. You know, I can come in quarterly, I can come in monthly, I can do it virtually, I can do it in person within reasonable distance and all that. My administrators are really supportive of the work that I do. They see the value in it. So but that's really what I'm doing. So professional development and also like the leadership training.
Around workplace wellness.
Absolutely.
So you're the catalyst, you're the spark.
I am the ambassador of mental health and well-being for school employees.
Okay, so somebody of influence within a school who sees the value or believes in the value of wellness at work would reach out to you and say, I may not have the expertise. I'm not a subject matter expert, but I believe in the power of wellness and the value of wellness in the workplace. Come meet with me. Come meet with me at the school. Let's talk about what we can start as a great initiative for our staff and our employees. Because if I have a happy staff, happy employees, that's going to filter down to the kids that we're supporting.
That is so true. That is so true. Because we cannot ask like teachers to teach emotional regulation if they're not regulated in the first place.
Well said.
Right. And then the other thing that I just in conclusion like that, yes, people can reach out to me, teacherswellness.org. And you know, if you're listening and you're like, oh my God, that's something that I want for my district, but I don't know what I want for my district. It's okay. We're just going to have a conversation like that. And my first question will be, what keeps you up at night? You know, and that is going to be our starting point. What keeps you up at night? And we're going to go from there, and then we're going to trickle it down, and then we're going to come up with a beautiful partnership and
make it happen.
And then your employees are going to be better for it. Your students, your families, your community is going to be better for it.
If there's one last thing you'd like to tell the audience or those who are watching today, what would you like to say to them directly? And ask yourself first, do you, whatever it is you want to say, do you want to be talking to individuals, or do you want to be talking to people of influence in organizations? So do you want to be talking to the frontline staff with what you're going to say, or do you want to be talking to organizations? So when you look into your camera, know who you're talking to and tell them what you want to say. What is it you'd really like to say to them?
All right. So what I would really like to say to everybody really is that, yes, you have a responsibility towards your own mental health and well-being, and you should practice all these beautiful things. And I will continue to bring professional development so that you personally can improve. At the same time, I want the organizational, the leaders in the organization to know that it can be very burdensome to put the responsibility solely on the employee themselves. So let's address burnout. Let's make sure that there's some retention to our teachers and all that. So let's stop putting the burden on the employees, and let's look at our structure and our systems and our policies and make sure that they align with your organization's vision, right? We want everybody to succeed. So let's make sure that we create those systems so that everybody can succeed.
You've been listening to Isabel Wettergren, proud mother of 2 college-age children. Isabel and her family reside in Northern California, somewhere near San Francisco. Isabel is a native of Montreal, Canada, and speaks French fluently. Apparently, you hold a bachelor's degree in kinesiology, and as we mentioned earlier, a master's in health and wellness psychology, organizational leadership. Isabel is the founder of Teachers Wellness Coaching and Consulting, an organization dedicated to helping school districts develop systems, policies, programs, and practices known to positively impact culture and overall well-being of employees and the students they serve. But you're also an ambassador, and you did mention that, an ambassador of mental health and well-being for educators. And you bring 20 years of experience, both in the area of teaching, education, and leading wellness initiatives. That's quite the journey you've had. And you have also been authentic with us by letting us know that a little bit about your history with addiction, And by the way, thank you for sharing that. I think when we can be so comfortable with sharing our personal story, it opens up a new type of relationship that we can have with one another. And I love what you wrote here in your bio, and I think we'll end off with a comment from you. You wrote here, normalizing the conversation. Let's normalize the conversation about mental health in the workplace. What do you mean by that?
Doing what I just did, being authentic. And if I am to share my story, if someone would have shared their story with me, maybe I would have sought help sooner, right? So, mental illness and mental health diseases, it can be really isolating.
Yeah.
So by talking about it, and then people can, oh my gosh, you're in recovery? Yeah, I'm in recovery. Oh, well, what does that bring to you? So having those conversations, not only about the problem itself, but to me, it's really important that we see what recovery can bring, right? So, this whole work that I'm doing and following my dreams, my passion, connecting with you, connecting with our audience today is really, it's really a dream come true for me. And something that back when I was in active addiction, I would have never thought possible. So thank you so much, Robert, for offering this platform. And I adore the work that you're doing. And I look forward to more engagements like this.
Okay, one more time. How do people find you?
Oh, www.teacherswellness.org.
Your energy is off the charts. It's off the charts.
20 years of teaching physical education. So, I've been like, all my life. So, yeah.
Okay, well, say goodbye. We'll let everybody go. You can go now, everybody. You can go.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much.